All right, so come on in close here, okay? All right, so one of the best things you can do to not have to spend time with people like me or other trainers is learn to diagnose your target.
Wilderness Tactical has been around for longer than the gun you're carrying has been, and they have been making high quality products for concealed carriers for literally decades. I wear their low pro belt every year. The webbing is the best in the industry, and I won't wear anything else. If you're looking for a good CCW belt, check them out.
Right, because the target never lies. We might or we might not know what we're doing, but the target never does. So later, as we go further into these targets, we're gonna start diagnosing things pretty deeply, because if you can learn to train yourself, you don't have to spend time with me. Okay, but let's take a look at just a couple of these targets here, okay? So let's say this group here. If we pick this group right here, if you notice, if we split it in half, we have some shots that are high, we have some shots that are low, okay? Quick diagnosis. For me, when I see shots going low, oftentimes it's usually because you relax the pinky slightly. So as you press the trigger, right, because you just want to be British, you got your pinkies all soft on the gun, right? You know, high tea with King Charles, right? If your pinkies are soft, because most of us, when we grip a gun, we grip really hard with these fingers, we kind of let our pinky lay there. Understand, a trigger press is not a true straightward back press. Think of the bones of the hand. Right? That's one thing that doctor was talking to me about, is the bones always want to come together. At natural, they're close together, right? So they want to come together. So when we press the trigger, it's not truly a straight back press. It's a straight back press and a slight down, where the pinky is the counterbalancing torque point to the gun. So if you're going low, usually it's because your pinkies are a little bit soft. We're spending more time thinking about this grip than we are this one, where I would tell you that the pinkies make up the large majority of what you need to do, because it's the furthest from the bang point of what controls it. So if we tighten those pinkies, and you guys should walk away today, right? You should walk away today feeling like you've milked all your pet goats, right? Because you crush so much of the pinkies all day, right? Too much time overseas, right? So I want you to crush with your pinkies all day. So if your shots are low, your pinkies are probably loose. Now, if your shots are high, okay, and let's use his term, if you're gun Amish. If you don't have a dot on your gun and your shots tend to be high, it's usually because you bought into that whole stupidity that's taught by so many gun trainers of hard front sight focus, right? You've heard that, right? Hard front sight focus. And you truly dial into the front sight and you give no respect to the rear sight, or little respect to the rear sight. And I usually find hard front sight focusers, or our iron sights, we tend to be slightly high, and we didn't really get this one elevated. So if you are gun Amish in this case, and you tend to be high, it's either that, we got sucked into the front sight, which I'd rather you be target focused, or B, the other reason I find it's because we're gripping with just our hands. Remember I said earlier, I don't want you to grip with your hands. I want you to grip with the middle of the forearm forward, which means we're locking the wrist. Okay, so if you're a dot and your rounds tend to go high, you're probably relaxing the wrist a little bit, or the pinkies are soft, so as you're shooting, it's raised, and because it's soft, it didn't snap back down, and you're pressing the trigger too soon. Okay, so if you're iron-sighted, you've probably got sucked in the front sight. If you're dot-sighted, you're probably pressing it too quickly because your pinkies are soft and it's not bringing it down. Okay, now let's say you're right-handed. Okay, if your shots tend to be over here, yeah, you too. Wrong. If your shots tend to be over here, you have over-rotational grip on the gun. Okay, we were working on it with a couple of you. Okay, if you're lefty, if your shots are over here, you'll probably over-rotate a little bit. Okay, but the biggest thing I think people miss is, let's say you're right-handed, because God loves right-handers. Okay, let's say you're right-handed. If your shots tend to be over here, usually it's because you didn't seal the bones of the hand well, right? I like to embarrass people, especially dudes. When you get your hand on your gun, I'll come up there and I'll stick my pinky up between your fingers, right? And if it's a dude, and only to dudes, I'll be like, do you really want my pinky in your crack? We get all embarrassed, right? And they're like, no. So we seal the crack. So we seal the crack, and suddenly we don't miss to our dominant side. Here's why. Guns are like water. They go where there's least amount of resistance. So if I have a good seal up here, but I don't have a good seal down here, that gun in the trigger press ever so slightly pushes this way and it goes this side. Or if we only get a soft touch to the gun, right? If you get it truly bone to bone on here, not just skin to skin, but bone to bone. If we get it bone to bone, you've pressed the gel of the meat of the hand out of the way. right? Where if you're just softly on there, this meat is like a pillow. And so in that trigger press, it ever so slightly pushes into the meat. So I watched a couple of you where your shots, because your right hand were going over here, I didn't see any lefties doing it yet. Well, no, you were doing it a little bit lefty, and I saw your shots coming over here. So I want more of that hard seal up here. Does that make sense for you? Okay, okay. All right, so come on down to the demo now. Okay, but anyways, that's a quick diagnosis of targets these way. We'll pick it up later, right? But I want you to work on we'll work on diagnosis targets. All right, so we're gonna shoot the demo. I'll be up here, Brent will be down here as we do this, okay? So I stole this from Dave Laird. A lot of you guys know him. And then I took it and I made it way better because, you know, I just like to do that. And Laird says he got it from a dude, and I can't remember his name, who got it from a dude and nobody knows where he got it from. So this is where this came from. But I've used this, the way I've set it up, I use this for you to, one, find your height over bore, okay? But also to find your ability to shoot at precision, but then also to find your fight speed. So we're gonna work on that here, okay? Because we get into this, we wanna go to fight speeds as often as possible. Okay, so for this first line, and if you want to come in close, you can see this, feel free, okay? So for this first line, what you're gonna do, if you have a front sight or iron-sighted gun, you're gonna take the top of your front sight post and you're gonna superimpose it to where the top of your front sight post touches the top of the black line. Notice that though it's thin, there's a top and a bottom. So I want you to superimpose right at the top of that, okay? In the middle. These hash marks are 1/4 inches. And I want you to find out exactly your height over bore, right? For you two girls, I'm sorry you're doing this again, okay? So think of it this way. If I was iron-sighted, let's say I put it there, because we're gonna shoot this at 3 yards, if you see that grease mark, my bullet should impact generally about right there, okay? For you dot people, let's say this, let's say that's that black line. If you have a small dot, okay, it's harder with just a circle like you have. If you have a small dot, the very top of your small dot intersects the very top of that line. So what you're not doing is you're not intersecting it in the middle, okay? It's the top of your dot to there, okay? And then what we're gonna do on this first box, these first 3 boxes, you're simply gonna draw. On the first one, you're gonna draw and fire 3 perfect shots. You're gonna make each shot a new event, okay? So if you like, and shank it, who cares? Big deal. Put it away, focus back on the present, and do it again, do it again. The next 2 boxes, because you're gonna fire 3 at each box, the next 2 boxes is gonna be 1 draw, boom, put it away, 1 draw, boom, put it away 3 times. The idea is here, can you grip it well, and can you use the trigger consistently? Then can you re-grip it well and do the same thing over and over? So you're gonna fire 3 at this, 3 at this, 3 at this, 1 draw, 3 shots, 1 draw, 1 shot 3 times, both boxes. But you're gonna learn on each one. Meaning if you shank something here, if it's not perfect, you feel it's not perfect, you're gonna take a second, you're gonna fix what's not perfect from the last shot and make the next shot. And you're gonna learn more. If that wasn't perfect, you're gonna fix what tiny thing you need to do, and you're gonna do it again. And then you're gonna put it away and you're gonna look at the overall box and figure out, okay, what's the main theme of what I'm not doing perfectly? And you're gonna determine, right? You're gonna commit to do that thing correct on the next one. And you're just gonna learn and learn and learn as you go through. We're only doing these 3, but it should look something like this. The idea is I want you to learn at 3 yards your height over bore. When it gets to fighting, the stuff we're gonna do here in a little while, you need to know your height over bore, okay? So it should look like this, eyes and ears, okay? Okay, 3 yards, 3 yards. Okay, so Brent, okay, so watch the shooters. Okay, so my zero is ever so slightly there. I can tell it's off, but some pretty decent shots. Now it's 1 draw, 1 shot 3 times. Okay, you get the idea, right? I don't want to waste your time with it.